Moulton because if you listen to Bernie, and if not, then why not? Then last month you will have heard a couple of players from the Moulton Masters, a walking football team, talking to Bern about a book that they had written. Yes, they're a walking football team, and they've written a book. You mentioned the song name today, actually, Walking Back to Happiness. It's the book's name. And it's all about how walking football has changed their lives. So you've got the stories of individual players. And you know, some of them are pretty difficult. People going through the loss of a partner, really, really serious road accidents, and the kind of the recovery from that, and being told that running around playing football is no longer an option for them. But walking football is a growing sport. There are about 1,500 teams in the country. There are loads in Northamptonshire. And it gives people who've loved playing football at one point in their life a chance to fall back in love with it all over again and get all the same benefits of teamwork and camaraderie and friendship and all that sort of stuff. Moulton Masters are a particularly thriving team. They've had success, and we thought, after hearing them with Bern, that we would come, spend the morning with them, and play some walking football in, I mean, if I could have ordered the weather for this morning, it would be like this: glorious sunshine in the village of Moulton. Will be with the walking footballers from 7.
Lovely. Very nice. We're looking forward to that. They sound
Northampton.
At 7 o'clock, with very much on the ground, he's going to be doing walking football with the people in Moulton. Great group. They've written a book all about it as well. Some inspiring stories, I have to say.
Welcome to Moulton Football Club, Annabelle, and to Moulton Masters, one of 1,500 walking football teams in the country. It's a very fun sport because there are lots of people who, for all sorts of reasons, had to stop playing football, and walking football gives them a chance to get back into it. And so we thought, after hearing some of the guys that play here chatting to Bern a month ago, that we would come and spend the morning with them, play some walking football, hear some of their stories. And they are stories about difficult experiences in life, that the friendship and togetherness and teamwork and love of football that this place provides has helped to get them through. And so we'll tell some of those stories and hopefully score some screamers this morning.
Brilliant. All right. Thank you, Tom.
Moulton. We are at the home of Moulton FC, the recently promoted Moulton FC, but it is also the home of Moulton Masters, a walking football team. And they are one of 1,500 walking football teams in the country. Football and I have always had a bit of a rocky relationship, Annabelle. I was always the last to get picked at school. I was always terrible at the sport. But I've tried walking football before, and it is brilliant because it gives a way back into a sport that they love for people who, through injury or just some of the obstacles that life can throw in the way, have, well, stopped playing. And it can reconnect people and build friendship and teamwork and a sense of togetherness and community that we all need, don't we? We heard Moulton Masters talking to Bern a month ago about a book that they'd written about their experiences in life and how the sport has helped them, and we thought, well, we should go and spend a morning with them. So why don't we have a chat first with one of the founders of the club, and that's Phil Andrews. Hello, Phil.
Morning, Tom.
And your story was one of playing football, loving football, being good at it, and then a car crash changed everything.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I wouldn't say I was particularly good, but I loved it. I was pretty fit. I've been in the army 16 years, and I just continued on. I worked at Travis Perkins, and I helped organise Monday night football. But one night I was travelling to play, ironically, up at Moulton, where I've ended up. And, some idiot on the other side of the road hit me head on in car smash. I was in hospital for about 3 weeks. Broke both my legs, and it was in and out of hospital for about 4 years. I have reconstruction surgery. So now I can't move my ankle very much, only about 5% rotation. And I thought, well, that's my football career ended. Maybe I can make it a goalkeeper. And then someone, Steve Parker, who played walking football at Toaster, he said, Phil, there's been a new sport invented just for you. And I went, yeah, right. And about 2015, I got a few lads together from the Cobblers sports bar, cars bar, and I dragged them along. We had 5 of us and a dog. We started playing football in a grass car park. And now 5 years later, we've got 125 in the club, playing on a 3G pitch 3 times a week, playing against teams from all over the county: Wellingborough, Kettering, Rushden and Diamonds, Brackley, Toaster, Daventry. You know, it's fantastic now.
And how did that feel when you realised that your leg would hold up and that you could, in any form, reconnect with the sport that you love?
Oh God, Tom, I'm welling up. I cried. I cried.
Really?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I just could not believe it because there is something about the buzz of just following a football about, It's because everything else just goes out the window. I mean, if you go for a run, you're just thinking about running and is it hurting? Whereas if you've got football, got a ball in front of you, you just chase that ball.
And I arrived here this morning, and I mean this in the best possible way. Please don't think that I'm being patronising. It reminded me of being at school. It reminded me of walking into a changing room and just a bunch of people being excited about going and doing something together.
Well, here they are. I mean, the average the average age here is what, about 70, perhaps 68.
Do you feel like it does that? Does it kind of take you back to being a
Oh,
lad?
absolutely. Yeah, we just regress to being 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 21-year-olds, whatever. Yeah, instantly.
And your club is thriving. You mentioned some of the places in the county that have teams. There's Nether Hayford, there's Desborough, Brackley, Daventry.
Absolutely, yeah.
Corby.
Yeah, Crick.
And not all of them are as thriving as you are. And so if you're listening to this in another part of the county and you're thinking, well, I'd love to get back to playing football, but either I don't feel confident enough or I'm not sure my body's up to it, you should go to your local. There'll be a club nearer than you think. But you can give it a go and you'll probably surprise yourself.
Yeah. You can look on the Northamptonshire FA website and it'll tell you all the clubs that there are. But some people, why not just form a club yourself, with your old mates? I mean, a lot of people here, once they come along, they recognise 3 or 4 faces straight away. Last time they saw them was about 30, 40, even one guy 50 years ago saying, what are you doing here? I'm playing football. At your age.
Well, at least you still recognise each other.
Well, that's right, yeah.
Right, so we need to briefly talk about the rules of walking football. Phil,
Okay.
What am I allowed to do and not allowed to do?
Well, this is a bone of contention, really. What is walking? It's very difficult to define, actually. No one's managed it yet. But basically, you're supposed to have 1 foot on the ground at all times.
Yeah.
So rule 1 is only walking. Rule 2 is no running. And you can't run off the ball either.
And you can't head it.
You can't head it, no. So it's a bit like five-a-side. If the ball goes above head height, it's immediately a free kick.
Okay.
So if you whack a long shot from somewhere, like I do, and it balloons over the bar, it's a free kick from where you actually kicked it.
Okay, that's good to know. You've even brought some boots for me to borrow, by the way.
Oh, special, yeah, gold encrusted. Diamonds on the sole of your shoes, yeah. No, we actually do have. You can see over there that the lads are getting them out. It's about 20 spare pairs because if people come here, then we don't sort of think that they're going to have all the equipment. But it only costs
you want to make it as easy for people as possible.
Exactly. It's about 15 or 20 quid for a pair of boots.
Well, people often said that I was all the gear and no idea, so this will prove that right. Phil, it's good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Phil Andrews, founder of Moulton Masters. I'm going to go and get my boots on, Annabelle.
Wonderful. You're in for a great morning, aren't you? Lovely man, Phil. Thank you. 7:30 then, the headlines from Liz G. Really rallied round just projects. Travel. BB.
You're trying to find some positive, the same sort of, journey over the last few days, but I was pretty miserable on Sunday. It was great. It's always tough. When Saracens play Leicester, it's always...
It might be over quite quickly, I suppose.
Still need to win, of course, to level it up after...
Quite a lot's happened in that afternoon.
It's one of those days where you start the day thinking...
1,500 teams around the country. There are teams in our county in places like Towcester, Desborough, Daventry, Rushden. We heard about Moulton Masters because they've written a book about some of the life experiences of some of their players. That book is called Walking Back to Happiness, and it is an apt title when you read some of the stories of the people who are in it. One of them is Martin Leckermore. Hello, Martin.
Good morning.
And your experience goes back to 2013 and your partner Linda, doesn't it?
Yes, my wife died and I sank into, had a mental breakdown and sank into depression. Really bad. And my children were worried about me, and they told me I'd got to go and sort something out. I started going to a gym, but I looked odd, old age pensioner wearing lycra. I just felt so out of place. And then the football season started again, and Cobblers, and I sort of knew Phil by sight. Had a chat with him and said, Phil, I understand you're starting a walking football team. Can I come along?
Had you played football before?
Many years ago. Like Phil, I couldn't get in any teams, and I used to have to work on Saturdays, so I didn't really have the time. I started, when I left school, I started playing in the Thursday League, which is, so see how far back that was.
Yeah.
Thursday League Intel. But no, after that. And then just kick about with my children, and that was it.
And I know from, friends of mine who've lost their mums and things like this, that in my limited experience, I might be overgeneralising. I think sometimes it can be harder for a man if their wife goes first, in a way, because quite often friendship networks aren't as developed around blokes. And was that your feeling? Did it sort of, that feeling of being bereft, I suppose, or not having that network around
Most
you?
definitely. My problem was, 2004, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And then my wife died of cancer, and I felt guilty. It should have been me that had died, not my wife. And that really pulled me down badly. I missed, I've got no friends. I just hid. And I say, my children got me out and go to football, go back to watching Cobbler's Dad. I did. And as I say, saw Phil walking football.
And do you remember the first time that you came up here and the first time that you met everybody?
Oh, well, the first time I met Phil, we were at Malcolm Arnold Academy on a really awful pitch. And then gradually we started playing at different places around town. Over there at in Moulton School. And then people I knew talked about this pitch. I talked to them. They gave me the contact details of who the bosses were here. Phil and I and Les came and talked to them.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
And
here we are.
What difference has the friendship network here made for you?
You heard us at the beginning there, having a laugh, taking the pee at each other. It really makes me feel alive again, which I missed.
That's such a beautiful thing to say.
Yeah. And it's such a friendship. And I know that, and I have had bouts of depression again since I've been playing here. I know 2 or 3 players I can talk to. They know what I've been through because they've probably been through it. And so it's great to be able to talk to them and give me a lift, and we lift each other.
I suppose that's the thing, for whether you're into a given sport or into sport in general or not, it's actually not really about the sport. It's about those relationships.
It's the people.
And
It's the
togetherness.
people. Yeah, I'm not a brilliant player. I have a laugh. But it's the afterwards, taking the pee at each other, having a cup of tea or a beer. Yeah, that's lifted me.
And you've got a thriving team, a big community of people, and that isn't the case for every club around the county. And there might be people listening to this, maybe living in Greens Norton or Schuttlanger, and they think, well, there's not going to be a team near me, but I could really do with getting out. Or someone listening, maybe like your kids, who's worried about a parent, and there'll be a team near to them that could give them the same benefit.
Yeah, look at Northamptonshire FA website. It lists all the walking football teams, and if there's not one near you, get together with your mates and form one. Form a team.
Best goal that you have scored, Martin? Come on, you can remember.
Probably the only one.
Probably the only one.
Probably the only one.
This is not very polite. That was Phil off mic, who we met half an hour ago, Annabelle.
I think one of the
giving
best.
it the big talk now that he's not on the app. Yes?
When I first started here, people would say, Martin, pass. And I'd back heel it. And I back heeled a goal.
Oh, sorry.
Did you?
And in fact, in the book, somebody else refers it to a little more. Back passing is called a little more.
Well, I've always called you Martin Rivaldo Littlemore, so, I think that nickname's apt. Martin, it's good to meet you.
Thank you,
I'm
Tom.
so pleased that this has given you a new phase in life.
lease of life.
Powerful thing. Well done. Martin Littlemore. And we'll meet more players here at Moulton Masters a little later. Annabelle, I need to go and do my warm-up.
What amazing stories, aren't they? Isn't that great? That must inspire people to start one of these. Fabulous. Right, we'll leave you. Do you think you're going to make it into the team?
Oh, to be honest, your guess is as good as mine,
Yeah.
Annabelle. I was always last to get picked at school. I'm hoping
Done.
that I've moved on slightly
Yeah.
in the intervening quarter century, but your guess is as good as
You
mine.
will have done. Right, Tom, thank you very much. Isn't that great? And they have, as Tom mentioned, they have written a book all about it, but what a great club. The book is called Walking Back to Happiness, and that is the Moulton Masters. So we'll be back with more of those through the programme, more inspiring stories as well. And there are loads of these walking football clubs all around the county. Toaster, Desborough, Crick, Daventry, Rushden, all sorts. So, have a look.
BBC Radio Northampton.
And we say Tom is at Moulton this morning for the walking football. Now, we've joked before, haven't we, Tom, that, I mean, you are less a footballer, more of a runner. And
I'm awful at football. You can say that, it's fine.
Okay, but you're very good at running, obviously, and you've talked about, you're looking forward to sports days, and I wouldn't put it past Tom turning up one day to a dad's race in spikes.
I'm taking starting blocks.
Of course you are, exactly. But you've turned up to football today, and I'm presuming you do not own football boots, but they have found some to lend you.
Yeah, I mean, football boots are like slippers these days, Annabelle. I remember putting them on and they felt like the inside of a breeze block when I was at school. It's changed, hasn't it? Mind you,
some of them have got inbuilt socks, haven't they?
I know. I was probably 18 the last time I put football boots on. Seriously.
How's the
What's
the surface like? 'Cause I know that we had a lot of rain for a while, but last few days have been a bit drier. A bit tough out there.
Yeah, it's a 3G pitch, so
okay.
so it's artificial, so it's nice and consistent. I'd love to be able to blame my lack of form and ability on the playing surface, Annabelle, but I'm just going to have to blame it on my legs and my brain.
Yes.
Soz.
And you've got some great people with you this morning, haven't you?
Yeah, hearing stories of how walking football has helped people. And that's the key point, really, for this morning, is, yes, it's partly about playing football. We've got a game going on at the moment. I'm in a white beard. I've been rubbish so far. I've cost my team at least one goal already. But it's really about the stories of the people who are here, how walking football has helped them get over the difficult times that we all experience at some point in our life, and how teamwork and friendship and all of those things that sport can bring have helped people. Well, Martin, who we met just before 8 o'clock, said it had given him a new lease of life. I think that's appropriate. So we'll hear more stories this morning.
Brilliant. Thank you. Now, Moulton is where Tom is spending the morning this morning with some really interesting guys. So you will have heard of walking sports. Tom's done walking netball before. This morning, it is walking football. And, well, it's a popular club up at Moulton, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, it certainly is. Kudos to Tracy on the right wing for the Whites. That's my team. Annabelle, marauding winger who's just stuck it plumb in the bottom corner at the second time of asking.
Well
Brilliant
done.
goal. That's the kind of calmness, clear-headedness in front of goal that I feel like our England team is sorely lacking at the moment. Can I just make that point? I don't know why people are chuckling here. I'm being deadly serious. Welcome back to Moulton Masters, one of 1,500 walking football teams in the country, Annabelle. It is a fast-growing sport. And being here this morning, it is easy to see why. Because it's not just about giving you a chance to reconnect with the sport, football, that you might have loved in your youth and drifted away from because of illness or injury or family or whatever else. It's also about friendship and, I guess, supporting one another through difficult times. The team here has published a book called Walking Back to Happiness. You might have heard them talking to Byrne about it last month. During that interview, they also talked about all of the other clubs that there are in the county. So I'll just briefly mention, if you live anywhere near Corby, Kettering, Silverstone, Nether Hayford, Brackley, Daventry, Crick, there are walking football teams in all of those places. You won't have to travel far to find one and join one and get the same benefits that the players here have. People like Steve Batchelor. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning.
And we were talking to Martin earlier on, half an hour ago, about his experience of bereavement and how joining this club really helped him. Yours was a story of bereavement as well, wasn't it?
It was actually about 4 years ago, 6 years ago. I lost my partner, and life after a while ceases to have not much meaning. I'm still working, but I found myself isolating from friends and family, and didn't particularly want to go out very much. And gradually, finding walking football to help me find my way back to happiness, really, which is really the title of the book.
And that isolation from family in particular, I think, can sometimes be a bit hard for people to understand if they haven't been through loss themselves. But what was it that meant that you would stop seeing people who previously you wanted to be around?
Yeah, I just didn't particularly want to be with anybody. It was the truth of it. I just preferred to be on my own. In a way, you're wallowing in self-pity, but it's ridiculous and it takes you over at the time. But it seems like a long time ago now, because I'm playing walking football. I mean, my life has changed completely now. I've recently remarried, and my family, one big happy family. I've got 5 people living in my house at the moment because the kids moved in for COVID and staying.
And they're so, Kel Surprise.
Yeah.
I thought you got rid of them.
So, yeah, it's completely turned around. But walking football has been instrumental in helping me regain confidence.
How so? What is it that it's done?
It's the camaraderie, and it's both. It's the sport, the exercise, because it's a sport and the exercise it's obviously the physical benefit you get from that, but also the camaraderie. There's banter all the time. I just had a carcinoma removed from my face, and one of our players downloaded a picture of the Elephant Man so you can compare it to my face when I first came back with a face full of stitches, and it was actually really funny. And
maybe you had to be there.
It stopped me having a complex because all of a sudden nobody takes these things seriously. And the advice then was to the rest of the team, if you're in your 60s and 70s, you have got a mark, get it checked, because that's what I did, and I had no idea I had cancer on my face 2 weeks ago, and now it's gone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if I look at you now, you wouldn't know.
Oh, good.
I mean, but I suppose dark humour is part of what binds a group together sometimes, isn't
It's
it?
the dressing room banter. When I used to play football 40 years ago, everyone was indulging in some sort of banter and some sort of mickey taking. You can never take yourself too seriously in life, and we're a club that like to win trophies in tournaments, but we never take ourselves that seriously. We always like to have fun, and that's what I like most about Moulton. It's competitive, but it's always good fun.
I'm always interested as well. You know, someone might be listening to this and they think, well, deep down, I think I'd really love that, but either am I good enough at football, or walking into a room full of strangers it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who might be thinking that?
Well, we're very welcoming to new players of all capabilities and all gender, and we have this Grand Masters game. Usually there's a tournament between 4 teams into playing, changing around 2 or 3 times, but the Grand Masters is a game for older people, or for people coming back from injury, or for new players, just to get the feel of it. We're a bit of a mixture of both today. This isn't the typical Grand Masters game, but that helps people adjust to the pace of things. So coming back from injury, or if you just want a more restful game, so you can come in at any standard, really.
And I suppose the other point to make is that the clubs, and there's over a dozen in our county that are out there, are all going to be welcoming new people, just as yours would be.
The walking football community has the same ethos pretty much as us, most places. There are 1 or 2 clubs that win at all costs, but they're not, thankfully, not ones that we face too often. But our club is about the community as much as anything else.
Your proudest moment on the field?
Page 100 of my book has a picture of me scoring a goal in the tournament that we did actually win 3 years ago, 2019.
What a time to be alive.
And what a great photographer we had at the time to capture that moment.
Yeah, you open the page and it actually plays the Chariots of Fire music, doesn't it?
A bit like that.
Complete the atmosphere. I would like you to give me and I don't want you to be polite because I'm here. I want you to be honest with me about how you think I'm doing.
I think you're doing pretty good, actually. I think
Are you
at first it was slightly embarrassing, but
yes,
as the game went on, you actually started to play football, and that was nice. It's nice to see.
I won't ask you to describe what I was doing at the start. It was certainly not football, though, was it?
Well, it was, but you were giving the ball to the opposition, which I was...
No, that's not the point of the game, is it? No, you want to avoid doing that. Okay, fine, that's good to know. Well, thank you for the tips. Listen, it's good to see you, and I'm pleased that this has helped you kind of move through a sticky spell in life, because everyone's going to have them at some point, aren't they? And we're all going to need people around us to help. And
Yes.
That's made a real difference.
Yeah, just being able to talk to people and meet people. Thank you.
It's good to see you. Thanks ever so much. And I'm going to be here till 10, well, there's another bit in 20 minutes, isn't there, Annabelle? That's how this programme works, isn't it? Is that roughly what we do?
Have you, after a few years, that that's how it
Yeah.
works?
So
Well
thanks to
done.
Steve Batchelor. We'll be back here at 10 to 9 talking to more people who've been helped by walking football. And then there'll be more on Drive later as well. There's quite a few people to get through. It won't surprise you to learn.
No, I'm sure. And actually, I like the way that you can just hear in the background every now and then someone obviously scores a goal, and they're trying to do muted cheering, aren't they? But tell them that they can go for it. They can absolutely go for the celebration.
What, like knee slides, full Cristiano Ronaldo celebrations, the whole thing.
Exactly, all of that. Lovely. Right, thank you, Tom. Tom's having a lovely morning, actually. He's all booted up to play football. It is walking football, so it doesn't matter too much that it's quite warm out there. Although I say that, it gets pretty competitive, and it's quite a struggle to just walk, isn't it? You have to keep one foot on the floor, don't you?
Yeah, you do. I've been pinged a couple of times.
Have
It
you?
won't surprise you to learn, Annabelle. What I lack in ability, I'm trying to make up for with pace, with, well, if I'm honest, mixed consequences. I've also got a bit of a sweat on. I know how you like to think about me perspiring,
I
Annabelle.
really do. Thanks.
So there you go. Welcome back to
Look
Moulton
at you,
Masters.
you're quite the clown with your guests this morning, aren't you?
I know, look at me. I have a sense
Yes.
of humour. It's a shame you don't get to see it, isn't it? Welcome back to the village of Moulton, where Moulton Masters is a thriving walking football team. It's a rapidly growing sport, 1,500 teams around the country, lots and lots in the county. So if you live near Towcester or Desborough or Corby or Crick or Daventry or Netherhaven or Moulton, get in touch with your local walking football team. If you get in touch with the Northamptonshire FA, they can point you in the right direction. And you will find a welcoming community for men and women. There are women who play here at Moulton as well, shock horror. And you can build a new phase in your life, is how it's been described to me. So let's have a chat with a couple more players. We've got Rob Kinning and Dave Phillips. Hello, gents.
Hiya.
Rob first, you joined last November, so you're what, 6-7 months in. What led to you joining?
I've always loved football, always playing football, and when I retired last year, I decided I'd come and watch somebody who'd been playing here. Martin Cox, he'd had a very bad time with injury and also health. He had to give up his job and everything else, and he kept saying to me, come and play football. And I thought, walking football, that's going to be a bit tame. I don't think that's going to be really my scene, because I was still playing normal football at the time, six-a-side. And I came along, and I was hooked as soon as I came. As soon as I saw it, it was great, and I've loved it every minute of it since.
And other than the fact that it's still football, what was it in particular that drew you in?
The desire to keep playing football, that never leaves you. And it was watching, I came to watch a competition here last November, and it was obvious that people love to play and to compete, to still play the sport they loved. And for me, I've just always loved football, so being able to continue to do that was fantastic.
My father-in-law's in his early 70s, and until a couple of years back, he used to play five-a-side still. And one of the things with the league that he played in was, 1 week you'd be up against another bunch of people similar age to you. The next week you could be playing against 30-year-olds, and he said it's just got to the point where it's like, well, there's no point. Like, what you may have over these people in skill, they just run around you. But it feels like this is like, it levels the playing field.
It does, and I think the good thing is because they protect people, they don't go tackling from behind and things like that.
Yeah.
People know they're not going to pick up the injuries that they would through collisions and things like that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go flying in studs up or anything, am I? It wouldn't really be very, very polite, would it? Dave Phillips, yours is one of the stories that's in the book Walking Back to Happiness, which has been compiled about your lives and your stories and your roots into the sport. What was yours?
Well, basically, I retired in 2019. I was an accountant for 40 plus years, and having retired, I decided that's it. I don't want no more accounts. I hung up my abacus, and I looked around for things to do. I wanted to basically do quite a bit of travelling if possible. Obviously, the pandemic came along and curtailed that a little bit. And I wanted to keep fit, basically. I do go swimming 3 times a week if I can. But then I heard about this walking football, and I thought, well, I'll pluck up the courage to go along and see what it's all about.
And pluck up the courage is an interesting phrase, because for anyone turning up to try something new in an established community of people can be a bit intimidating, can't
Well, that's right, and particularly as I hadn't played football for 40 plus years. So, I mean, to be honest, it took a few games to sort of mix in with the others and be on a sort of level playing field with them.
Yeah.
But, after a while, it's not only the playing football, which is brilliant, but it's the friendships we made as well, And
we're going to hear from some of your female members later, but I know particularly for blokes, feeling comfortable or feeling like you're in an environment where you can talk about how you're feeling about certain things or difficult times in your life, it can be hard to find spaces where that's comfortable, I suppose, where you're happy to do it. Do you feel like this gives you that opportunity?
Yes, and obviously the book that you've been talking about has given one or two of us the opportunity to put that into words as well. So yeah, I mean it's a good friendly place, and it's done a lot for me really in my retirement. It's probably the one thing that I really look forward to every week.
No, you're wearing your Northampton Town shorts proudly, so it's a big kudos for that, Rob. What is that rag that you are wearing? Take the mic back. You've got some explaining to do. That's not even a football shirt.
I'm afraid I do feel embarrassed to wear it these days.
Manchester United.
Yeah.
I know. There's a lot to be embarrassed about, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
I must just have a final say, actually, because I need to say to Annabelle that we had a game just now, and Tom did actually score a goal. I know he's far too modest to tell you,
I wasn't going to mention it, Annabelle.
Oh.
Sorry, but
I wasn't going to mention it.
Was it
Well,
Top
Rob
Bins?
wasn't going to mention it. Well, no, it wasn't top bins. I crept up on Rob from behind. It's not the first time I've said that. And I stuck the ball away from him and stuck it in the bottom corner.
I think that was a bit elaborated on.
Do you think? Am I over-egging the pudding?
Yeah, I think so.
How would you describe it? Not that you're bitter.
you couldn't miss.
I really couldn't.
It's a sitter.
What happened was the goalie rolled the ball out, so he's got to give him a chance. Rolled it out. No, nobody near him. Couldn't miss.
Someone let Tom score.
That is an
Someone
equally...
let Tom score. That's what they've been saying all morning. Go
Oh,
on.
there was me
Let
feeling
him.
good about myself for 5 minutes of my week. Oh, dearie me. What would you say to people who might be listening to this and thinking, oh, I'd like to come and give that a go, but I don't really feel sure?
Come and have a look. Come and have a look. Go anywhere in the county where this is being played. You'll get a welcome. I've come across people I used to play in the town league with years ago and renewed old friendships from many years ago. The social side here is second to none, and people just feel as though it is a place they can call home. It really opens up new opportunities for you, and those that don't want to play every week can let people know when they don't want to play. So many options of just enjoying yourself and keeping fit.
Well, look, we're going to get back out there. It's good to see you both. Thanks ever so much. Rob Kinning, Dave Phillips. Good to meet you both. Thanks for this morning. Thanks for going easy on me. And, we're going to hear from more people here at Moulton Masters, Annabelle, on Drive with Tim from 2 later.
A great bunch. Lovely. Thank you, Tom.
From the BBC Sound.
Shocked.
Members of a Northamptonshire football team with a difference have shared stories about how their sport has helped them in a book. Moulton Masters is one of 1,500 walking football teams in the country. Walking football is aimed at the over 50s who can't play the other sort for whatever reason. It was formed by Phil Andrews when a car accident meant he couldn't play normal football. Martin Littermore told us that he had a breakdown after his wife Linda died in 2013, and joining the club has made him feel alive again.
And I know that, and I have had bouts of depression again since I've been playing here. I know 2 or 3 players I can talk to. They know what I've been through because they've probably been through it. And so it's great to be able to talk to them and give me a lift, and we lift each other.
With around 48 hours to go, we're checking
Tom in Moulton. He's had a lovely morning, haven't you?
Oh, and it is baking out
Is
here
it?
as well, Annabelle. It's glorious. I'm
Scorchio.
sitting here on the kind of picnic bench. I've got a lovely cup of coffee, the sun in my face. I've scored a goal. Life is good.
Everything is good with the world.
Everything's good with the world. I've scored a goal. First one ever. I used to hate football when I was at school. And it really, on a serious note, I know I've talked about this before, and people say, oh, you weren't that bad, were you? Yes, I really was that bad. I was awful at football.
But is that because you weren't nurtured properly to do the football? You probably weren't that bad, but because you got picked last, you then thought you were bad, and then that's just how it goes, isn't it?
And that is a big part of it, you know. And there's all this peer pressure, and you're so worried about looking like a prat, and you just anyway. And I've been talking to people today at Moulton Masters who've said similar things, and then they've gone off, had a career, maybe they haven't kicked a ball for 40 years, and they retire, as was the case for Dave, who we met earlier, and they think, well, what am I going to fill my time with? I know, I could go and give walking football a crack. And because they're at a different point in their life and maybe more, comfortable in themselves, and the pace is a little bit slower, and there isn't quite the same kind of studs up, high tackle, the lad on your team that always played dirty that you get at school. It makes it enjoyable, and suddenly you fall in love with it, and you make friends, and it's amazing. I was just chatting to Martin off air, the chap that we heard from at 10 to 8, who talked about how walking football got him over the bereavement. He lost his partner, and he was saying that coming here helped him rebuild confidence to the point that he's now does lots of other things. So he's in the History Club, History Society in Far Cotton. He's involved with running the Cobblers Supporters Club that organises all the away day travel. And he credits walking football with helping him to achieve all those things. So it's not just going out and kicking a ball around, it's so much more. And I think that's why it's such a fast-growing sport and why there are so many teams now in Northamptonshire that play it.
A slide tackle's unwelcome.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to do a kind of like a lunge, studs up, side of the knee type thing. I think that would go down badly.
Yeah,
if
good.
I'm
I'm
honest.
glad that you've restrained yourself this morning then.
Well, do you know what? You'd be proud of me. I resisted breaking into much more than a trot. which I thought was an achievement for me.
Well done. Well
Thanks
done.
very much. I will say, I mean, there are teams. If you listen to Moulton Masters, they've written a book, by the way. It's called Walking Back to Happiness. They were chatting to Byrne about it last month, and it was a really brilliant listen. And Byrne reeled off all of the teams that there are in the county. I mean, just to give you a sense. Oh goodness, I did write them down. Where have I put them? Here we go. Moulton, Corby, Kettering, Silverstone, Toaster, Netherhayford, Desborough, Daventry, Rushden, Higham Ferrers, Wellingborough, Earls Barton, Oundle, Kingscliff, Crick, and Brackley.
Wow.
And it's growing all the time. Get in touch with Northamptonshire FA, and you'll find a walking football team near to you. Men and women. Men, you need to be over 50. Women, you need to be over 35. Other than that, that is it. And as a sign of how popular it is becoming, and here's your fact. Next year, delayed since 2020 because of COVID, the first ever Walking Football World Cup will take place, Annabelle. And it takes place in Manchester.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Can I just, quick question on what you've just said there. Why is it men over 50 and women over 35?
Don't ask me.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, listen, Annabelle. Why are you turning your nose up?
No, I'm not. It's just a question.
Don't back up. I can hear it in your tone of voice.
Well,
Why
no,
are you turning your nose up?
Well, I'm going back to so, I slightly resent the fact that in tennis, veterans, when they're men, are 45, but women are 40. So it just seems to be a similar thing to that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, except, okay, but let me turn this on its head for you, okay? Right now, you could go and play walking football competitively, and you would have a great time. I couldn't.
Yes.
So who's the loser?
Yes, true, yes. Okay, well done. Where are you tomorrow? Can we remember?
No.
Okay.
I've told you to stop doing this.
Sorry.
I've genuinely told you to stop asking.
You've got really good at remembering recently, so I thought,
No,
well,
I
I'll push
haven't.
it.
No, I haven't.
Okay, fine. Well, if you're spending the morning with Tom tomorrow, I'm really sorry that he's forgotten about it, but he will.
No, wait, I can't. No, hang on. No, I know where I am. I'm at the Open Gardens in Woodford.
There you go. Well done.
Dug it out the memory banks.
Sorry, Woodford. Sorry, but he is excited about it, really. He is. Right. Tom, off you go. I know that we can hear from more of the players at Moulton on Drive later, and they've just been lovely at Moulton Masters. Go join a walking football team. A new lease of life for all of those people who've joined there. And Woodford Gardens for Tom tomorrow. See, never forget.
And Steve Mudman. Tracy, it won't have escaped people's attention, but you are a woman. What brought you to walking football and to what is quite a male-dominated environment?
Hey, they lost that. I've been playing football since I was 7.
Right.
And I've originally come from down south, so I was fortunate. Coming up here, being slightly older, I started playing walking football, the exercise, can't run anymore, so it's good. The camaraderie, the inclusion, the chaps are just brilliant.
And women's football is a big deal. When you started out, it was pretty unusual, I guess.
Yeah, it was very, very minimal. But nowadays it's got so big and it's spreading worldwide.
Which is fabulous to see. Because I think in a lot of ways, actually, some of the behaviour from fans and from players that you see in the men's game, you don't have that in the women's game. I'd be a lot happier taking my 4-year-old daughter to a women's football match than a men's football match a lot of the time.
Yeah, the fans are much more family orientated in the ladies' football. It's brilliant. It's getting the younger kids playing again.
Where did you play then as a youngster?
I played for Watford Ladies.
Okay, so good standard.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
And at what point did you think to yourself, I'm actually pretty good at football? Or did your brain never really work that way?
No, I just enjoy playing.
It was just the love of the game.
Yeah,
through
just the love of the game.
But I guess also it's like you wouldn't have said as a woman playing football at that point in time, well, I'm going to do it for the money or anything else.
No,
if you didn't love it, there'd be no point.
You've got to do it for the love of the game. Yeah.
Now, Steve, you had the unenviable task today of refereeing a competitive sporting event in which I was involved. Were you tempted to get the cards out of your pocket at any stage?
Only for one person, and that was you.
Why? What did I do?
He's really keen. Once you got the drop on it and slowed down, yeah, you accepted and gone with the game.
You're in bright yellow, you look the part. You used to be a ref. Well, you still are a ref.
Yeah.
Have you refed all your life?
40 years, yeah.
Okay, whereabouts?
All over Northamptonshire and the Midlands.
And did you play yourself?
Yeah, I played till I was 25, and then I realised I was injured. I didn't enjoy it, and I decided to take up refereeing.
And Pete Moulton, Premier League ref, lives in the county. We spent some time with him and talked about his love of refereeing, but you've got to have a pretty thick skin.
And deaf.
Yeah, I can imagine. I shouldn't imagine there's quite as much abuse involved in walking football as there was in your earlier.
No, it's still competitive though.
Yeah.
Both teams want to win and what have you. And as soon as they go on that across the line, they play football, and that's it. You know it as well. But as soon as you come off the pitch, they're lovely players. They still speak to you. So it can't be that.
What do you get out of the camaraderie and the team element of something like this?
Well, all the players got different personalities, you know, some quiet, some outgoing, which you've probably seen today, but it's lovely to turn up and be accepted for what you are and get on with the game. Yeah.
And Tracy, being accepted for what you are, I suppose, is quite a powerful thing, isn't it? Because I think as you get a bit older, it can be tempting to not want to try new things or not want to put yourself out there, take the risk.
Yeah, it can be, yeah. But the inclusion is brilliant, yeah, whether you're male or female. It's, yeah.
What was it like the first time you walked through the gates here?
It was a bit unnerving because, as I said, the majority of them are gentlemen, but they are gentlemen, and they're just accepted.
And did you feel like you settled in quite quickly?
Yeah, it was great. It was.
And there are teams all over the county, and a lot of people might have been before this morning unaware that walking football was much of a thing, but it is popular and it's growing fast.
Yeah, for both men and women. We have competitions 4 or 5 times a year. The Northamptonshire run, there's Corby run. Yeah.
And I suppose the message from this morning is if you're listening to this and maybe played football at one point, an injury might have curtailed it, or life gets in the way, doesn't it, kids, whatever, then you'll be able to find a club that's not far from you.
Definitely, yeah. There's plenty of clubs around now. Yeah.
Do we need more referees in walking football?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. It's quite a rewarding job, to be honest. If people just give it a go for about a month, see if they like it, but it's really worth it.
Have you ever had to send someone off in walking football?
Not yet. No.
Yellow cards?
Not yet. Just I like to have a court word first rather than just dish cards out. You get a
strike
better
me as-
response. I think they respect you more.
I don't know if he's your favourite referee of all time, but certainly my favourite was Pierluigi Collina, the bald-headed Italian who didn't need to get his cards out. He'd just look at you.
That's it, yeah.
And that would be it.
Have you popped out? And that was it, wasn't it?
Have you got the withering referee's gaze down?
No, I've just got the grey hair from it, which helps a lot.
That's very true.
I used to be blonde, but it went grey after sort of referees.
Oh, it's the things that we sacrifice for what we love, don't we? It's good to see you both. Thanks for making me so welcome today.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.